CRPC does not make a specific provision in that regard. The specific provision in the CRPC are section 61 to 90, summons and warrants. And for immunity provision, we have to see Article 361 of the Constitution, which specifically provides that here, the President of India, Vice President, Speaker, Supreme Court judges, and High Court judges, they are exempted. Now, as regard the international community is concerned, immunity of ambassadors, I made one mistake. I told you we had to see the Geneva Convention. I'm sorry, it is not the Geneva Convention, it is the Vienna Convention. Huh? It's a Vienna Convention on diplomatic relation of the year 1961. We may remember the famous case of Divyani Khobargade in the year 2013, when she was in USA. She was arrested by the US Embassy on the ground that she was not paying properly to her domestic servants, and she was also asked to undergo what you call it here, a strip search, which was opposed to and objected to by the Indian community. That you may be aware of. Another second example of a diplomat who was harassed by the New Zealand was of Ravi Thapar, who was a High Commission of India. He had a domestic dispute with his wife, who were arrested for assaulting each other. So they are covered under the provisions of international convention. That is what you call it, a Vienna Convention of the year 1961. You will be aware that here, under the Constitution of India, there is a specific provision, how we are to respect the international convention. That provision in the Constitution, you will find Article 352, I think. Mansi, just kindly just see that, if I'm not mistaken, which article it is in the Constitution. Article, I think 253, I think it is 253, state and union and state relations, 253, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it? Article 253.
Yes, sir.
Yes, under which here the Parliament and legislature can make law for giving effect to international agreement convention. Now, India is a signatory to the Vienna Convention, where more than 372, several countries are the signatories. That is the answer to the student's query yesterday when he asked me the diplomatic immunity is concerned. Please remember this. In the CRPC, there is no specific provision. The CRPC has to be read along with Article 361 of the Constitution and International Convention. Because you know that here, under Article 372 of the Constitution, all laws made prior to the Constitution are also laws. And the judgment of the Privy Council and Federal Court are respected because pursuant to Article 372 of the Constitution. That you have a background of the Constitution, you learned about it. Okay, so we shall now proceed. Any other question he has got, and we'll proceed with the remaining topics. Yesterday we covered suits against the government and for the government, section 79, 80 and Article 2, Order 27A. And we covered representative suits under Order 1, Rule 8 CPC. And what other suit we covered yesterday?
Interpleader suit.
Yes, interpleader suit we covered. Now today we'll just, yes, interpleader suit. Anybody has any doubts in the interpleader suits or representative suit under Order 8, Rule 1, please let me know, because we had no time for question answer before I proceed with the other topic. Please let me know that. Hai, kisi ko anybody has any doubts? Now, today I will take up the section 90 and Order 36, special suits and summary suits. Today we'll take up this topic, we'll substantially cover this time, another suit also. Now, when you open section 36, sorry, or section 90, section 90 deals with special cases, or you may call it a friendly suit. people are not actually in war. They are not showing hostility. Normally, civil suits are resorted to by the parties when they are against each other, when they show hostility against each other. Now, under the provisions of Section 90, parties may be having some doubts with regard to interpretation of some contract, interpretation of some what amount of money payable, how this property can be devised. Now, maybe your grandfather must have left behind a will, which is not being disputed by any of the members of the family. If you are a Christian or a Muslim, you don't even require to go for probate under Section 213 of the Succession Act. Now, let us say, for example, a Christian family in Bombay who do not want to go for probate of the will, and they will say the grandfather has left behind a will. The signature is not disputed. So in that event, you don't have to go for a probate. Then the question may arise, the various clauses are very clumsily drafted, or there is ambiguity in the will. Then how it is to be interpreted? You may seek the help of the court under Section 90, read with Order 36. You may, a friendly suit, opinion of the court can be sought. Now, in the Bombay High Court, fortunately, in the original side, we have under the rules, we have a provision called originating summons in the matter of trust, as a public trust or a private trust, or a will is sought to be constructed. There is a document originating summons. But all high courts, even the Supreme Court doesn't have this provision. Now they resort to Section 90 and Order 36 of the Code of Civil Procedure for seeking the opinion of the court as regard the correct interpretation of a document, as regard the rights of the parties, what should be the correct opinion. When an order is passed under this section, it's not an appealable order because the court is passing by consent of the parties. And there's a discretion of the court. You cannot compel the court, you must pass. Court will see that here there is no alternative remedy available to the parties. There is no special remedy available to the parties. And it is a question with regard to interpretation of some document, maybe of law, maybe on fact. The court in its discretion may entertain the suit, or they tell the parties, you may go for general civil suit. It's not mandatory. So I won't be wasting much time on this. Then come to Section 91, 92. These are in the nature of public interest litigation, like Order 1, Rule 8. Whereas in the case of Order 1, Rule 8 CPC, the plaintiff has interest along with the others in the cause of action. Whereas in a suit under Section 91, public nuisance and public charities, it is not the personal interest of the party. It is a general interest of the public. Okay? It's a general interest. A nuisance is being created. Now, for example, a slaughterhouse is coming up in a residential locality. People may object to this. Nuisance is being created, and or during Diwali time, examinations are required to are being held, for example. Now in the locality, in the chawl, people are playing loudspeakers very loudly beyond 10 p.m., 11 p.m., disturbing the peace and tranquility, and also the student. In such a scenario, two or more person. See that here, the requirement of Section 91, either you make an application to the Advocate General of the state, or two or more person may go before the court and seek special damages. Even interlocutory order of injunction, receiver prohibitory order can be sought here. This is in the nature of a public interest suit here. Because you also learn this kind of a suit, or even a magistrate in the case of rioting take place, where there are several people have assembled, creating a breach of peace in the locality. And you read, I think the relevant section was in the IPC 233, I think, public nuisance. The injunction can be granted under the provisions by the magistrate under the provisions of 142, isn't it? That was 133, the public nuisance. In the IPC, we learned Section 133 was a removal of public nuisance, where a police officer directed to file the report investigation. Then the magistrate having power under 142, he can grant a injunction. Under 142, he can grant a removal of public nuisance. Now, in the case of Section 133, the public nuisance, the requirement of Section 142 is in the case of breach of peace. Now this 91 is the additional remedy which can be invoked by parties by approaching the civil courts seeking an appropriate order of injunction, maybe claiming damages for nuisance being committed. There are lots of cases in this. When you go on the Google, check it up here, where a cemetery coming up in the locality, residential locality, or a cremation ground, which has been objected to people, and they have filed the suits. And procession taking place in residential accommodation is also objected. So this is one type of. Then second type, section 92 of the Code of Civil Procedure is also in the nature of public interest, where the plaintiff himself does not personally, he doesn't have personal interest. It's for the general interest of the public, the entire community at large, where he may again file a suit in the district court. This particular suit is filed in the Bombay, district court means Bombay High Court, or unless the state government also empowers other courts. Whereas the suit under section 91 can be filed in all the civil courts, whereas section 92 is clearly mentioned, it is before a district court, mean a principal civil judge of the principal civil judge of original jurisdiction in the city of Mumbai, or any other court empowered on their behalf by the state government. So state government has got power to legislate. You know that under the concurrent list we have mentioned, the court can amend the CPC and delegate powers. Even jurisdiction can be awarded. When we read the judgment of the Supreme Court in Gasdar's case, I dealt you with the powers, the concurrent list. So here, either you move the, you request the Advocate General that here, for example, I gave you the public charitable trust, like Siddhi Vinayak Trust, Sai Baba Trust, though they are governed under the Bombay Public Trust Act. Under the Bombay Public Trust Act, there is a jurisdiction of a charity commissioner who can pass such orders under section 41D, E, F and all, injunction prohibitory. But again, the charity commissioner is not a court, is a tribunal. It may take a longer time. He may not be able to decide contentious issues, disputed fact. So you can move the civil court under section 9 by filing a suit under section 92. This is maybe an additional remedy, I would call it. I will not say that there is, having invoked a charity commissioner, you cannot come to the High Court. If the charity commissioner's office normally in the city of Mumbai, when you file proceeding, they are government officers. Half the time they are not sitting, they are not available. They are sent on election duty. They are called to Mantralaya. Whereas civil court judges, high court judges are always available. So you move the civil court that a particular trust is not being administered correctly. For example, a trustee is misbehaving himself, misappropriating the property. That's one remedy. Then appointment of a new trustee. The scheme of the trust provides for 10 trustees, whereas only 5-6 trustees are acting. Unilateral decision cannot be taken. Then vesting of the trust property. The trust property without the consent, permission of the court is being sold to outsiders, like maybe Tirupati Temple Trust and Siddhi Vinayak Trust here. And you can request the court, even the trustees can be removed, and directing accounts of the trust can be made here. And you can ask for a general administration of the trust here. So these powers are they given to the district court in Bombay and also civil courts with the leave of the state government. So these are again a public interest litigation, which can be filed by 2 or more persons in the court, or you may approach the charity, the Advocate General can grant it. So these are more or less akin to the provisions of Order 1 Rule 8, CPC, that is a representative capacity. I would say that only difference is that here in a suit under Order 1 Rule 8, the plaintiff has personal interest along with the others. Whereas in a suit under section 91, 92, he doesn't have personal interest. He is fighting the suit, the litigation on behalf of the general public. Okay? Is that clear to you? Now, before this, I would like to now take it up now. The 91, 92 होने के बाद very important summary suit ले लेंगे आप. Summary suits are very important, not only from the examination point of view, and also when you fight litigation. Order 37 खोल लीजिए आपका भी. Order 37 से पहले we discussed the 36 is a order 36 is to be read under section 90. That is a special case for the opinion people. That procedure is laid down. That more or less the same procedure. Order 37 rule 1 and 2 is very, very important, especially suit relating to falling under the Negotiable Instrument Act, which you know that here under section 9 of the CPC, all the civil suits normally are tried like a trial, where a plaintiff filing a suit, defendant having a right to file written statement, and discovery, inspection, and leading evidence, examination, chief, cross-examination, re-examination. But whereas in a summary suit, which is a special suit again, this procedure with regard to trial is dispensed with. In a summary manner, it is held on the basis of the document itself, the trial takes place. And the defendant, as a matter of right, he doesn't have a right to file written statement. Please note that. He has to obtain the leave of the court. I will tell you when the leave is to be sought, when the leave can be refused. In the normal general suits, which we learned under the provisions of the CPC previous section, under Order 8, Rule 1, the defendant must file written statement. He has a right to file within 1 month, 60 days, 90 days. And he has a right to take inspection interrogatory. The suit when you file, these suits are filed under Order 37. Number 1, you may see kindly that here, bill of exchange. Bill of exchange. Bill of exchange means it may be check, all the banking documents which
your video has stopped.
My video has stopped. I'm sorry. 1 minute. Now, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. Now, you have learned in your first or second year negotiable instrument and what is bill of exchange, hundis, and promissory notes, wasn't it? I don't have to define all this. Now, suit based on these documents, hundis, bill of exchange, promissory notes, and on admitted claims, agreement between the parties that a particular amount is payable, and also liquidated damages. There's a liquidated damages where there is absolutely no dispute between the parties as regard the amount. So these are the classes of suits, which commercial suit basically you may say that. These are commercial suits which you may file in the High Court, City Civil Court, Bombay, Small Causes Court, 3 courts, depending upon the jurisdiction. Like you know that here in the city of Mumbai, the jurisdiction of the Small Causes Court in summary suit is 25,000, and City Civil Court up to 1 crore, above 1 crore is the Bombay High Court. So these are the 3 suits. Suppose if I have given you a check which has been bounced, or a bill of exchange which has been returned, and a foreign country, whatever reason may be, you can move the court. Apart from the remedy under 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, that is criminal nature, I will tell you, these suits are filed in the civil court. Here you must mention the title of in the plain, in the High Court of Judicature at Bombay, OOCJ or City Civil Court Bombay, Small Cause Court Bombay, summary suit number so and so of the year so and so, under the provisions of Order 37, Rule 1, 2 and C, 1 and 2, and bracket में एक provision रहेगा इसके अंदर, one clause, the plaintiff is not seeking any other relief which does not fall outside the ambit of Order 37, Rule 1, 2. That means your relief must fall within the ambit. That is, it must be a suit for a bill of exchange, hundis, promissory note, liquidated damages, or admitted written contract. So these are the only 4 or 5 class of suits which can be filed. The moment that, of course, the suit has to be filed by the presentation of a document called plain under Order 4 and Section 21, so 26, which you learned earlier. No sooner the plaintiff lodges plaint, then complying the office objection, then a copy of the plaint and written copy of the plaint along with the document should be served upon the defendant. Okay, that is a normal procedure which take place under Order 7. Now, upon service, the defendant must file the appearance before the court within 10 days. This is the first requirement. So there's a departure from the normal. Within 10 days, the defendant doesn't have to file a written statement. He has to file appearance, means his lawyer will file wakalatnama, or a party in person under Order 3, Rule 1, he will file his memo, placing on record that I have received the copy of the plain today, namely on the 15th of September 2020. That is within 10, then you must file your appearance within 10 days by 25th of September. Please note that. If you don't file within 10 days, your appearance, the court can pass a decree in favor of the plaintiff. The suit will be placed for ex parte. You have no right to come and defend the suit. So the moment you receive the plain, don't wait for 1 month. Within 10 days, you approach the lawyer immediately if you are the defendant and hand over the paper. First thing is prepare the appearance, prepare your wakalatnama if you are representing the defendant. Lodge it in the registry of the Protonotary Senior Master High Court Bombay in the High Court, writing a letter to the Protonotary Senior Master High Court Bombay or Registrar City Civil Court Bombay, Registrar Small Cause Court Bombay. In the above matter, I am concerned for my client, the plaintiff, the defendant. The defendant has received the writ of summons along with the copy of the plain today, namely on 10th of September 2020. So I am filing this appearance within 10 days. My appearance may kindly be taken on record, and I undertake to inform the plaintiff about my appearance. See that here? Now that kind of, the court is issuing that summons under form number 4, Appendix B of the Appendix B, if you see that here. Mansi, please open that form number 4, if you don't mind. It's a slightly departure there. Appendix B के अंदर है. Now, if you see the appendix, form number 4, summons and summary suit, Order 37, Rule 2. It says that here, description of the parties, whereas the plaintiff has filed the suit under 37, Rule 2, you are hereby summoned to cause appearance to be entered by you within 10 days. Please note that here. Then it mentions here, thereafter, in default, plaintiff will be entitled to execute expiration of the set period of 10 days to obtain a decree against you. Then last clause says that, yes, second clause, and if you cause appearance, you will be entitled to move the court for leave to defend. This is very important. Now, when the leave to defend comes, I'll inform you. Now, you got the copy of the plain, you filed your appearance. Either you as a lawyer or your client directly. Then the next step is the plaintiff's advocate or plaintiff, upon receiving the intimation from the defendant's lawyer or defendant that appearance has been caused, the next step is the plaintiff's lawyer or plaintiff will take out a document called summons for judgment within 10 days. I can see that here. Subclause 4 and 5, you may see that. Again, 10 days time is given. Summons for judgment, you will find before in the norm it is mentioned, see that this is a Appendix B के अंदर, it is form number 4A.
Ashish, a quick question. Sir, 10 days is very short time, no, sir. How would a layman go about finding a lawyer in that period and deciding whether...
You have to be vigilant on the same day, because this is applicable in the city of Mumbai. Lawyers are available dime a dozen. Even litigants are smart people. They know the law. This is summary proceeding. You cannot waste the time of the court and your own sin. These are expeditious proceedings. 10 days is not a big day. Today you are receiving someone. Why you want to wait for 15 days? Go tomorrow, next day. Find a lawyer next door and go in the Google and find out who are the lawyers. Okay?
Just
So,
any lawyer
yeah.
would do, sir. You don't need
Yes,
somebody with.
lawyers basically practicing in this particular field, and many lawyers know all the laws, and many lawyers confined to particular branches. It is not that here. You can Google it up and find out who are the lawyers doing this. Your neighbors, lawyers are everywhere. I don't think there's a dearth of lawyers in city of Mumbai. Huh? Though
Thank
no
you.
sooner the advocate of the plaintiff receiving intimation from the defendant, within 10 days he will take out a document called summons for judgment, supported by affidavit. So summons for judgment is starting with here. There is a word here in the title आएगा उसके अंदर. Upon reading the affidavit of the plaintiff, then the court says that let all parties concerned attend. Normally we have a chamber judge. Attend before the judge in chamber on so and so for hearing of the summons for judgment on behalf of the plaintiff on so and so day. Our affidavit में material क्या लिखेंगे आप? I so and so, the plaintiff above name, do hereby state on solemn affirmation as under. I have filed the above suit for recovery of 10 lakh under the promissory note. The defendant has caused appearance in the above matter. I say that the appearance caused by the defendant is mollified. He has no defense. Appearance has been caused only to delay the proceeding. I respectfully submit that there is no substance in the appearance caused. Plaintiff is therefore taking out the summon for judgment. A decree be passed against the defendant. That should be your prayer under subclause 5. And no sooner you rule 5, order 37, subclause 5 check karo. Okay? 4 and 5.
But under which provision are we filing this affidavit?
Affidavit you are filing under 37, order 37, subclause 5. The defendant may at any time, order 37, rule 1, subclause 3. On the day of entering the appearance, the plaintiff sues and so, addresses the plaintiff as a cause. Subclause 4, the defendant enters the appearance, plaintiff shall thereafter serve upon the defendant summon for judgment in form number 4A, appendix so, not less than 10 days. Subclause 4, 37(1)(4). Got it? Kindly open order 37, rule 2, subclause 4.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Found
sir.
it? Okay, that is the provision. Then no sooner the defendant receiving the summons for judgment, then come back to sub-rule 5. Within 10 days, the defendant must file his reply, placing on record before the court that the summons for judgment is not tenable as there are triable issues before the court. The plaintiff defendant has a good case. For example, the suit is barred by limitation. The amount is disputed. It is not triable. The signature of the defendant is a bogus signature. It has a got up document. The check was stolen acting in collusion with my employees. So you're trying to make out some case. When a case of this nature is found out, you may say that the court might grant you unconditional leave or a conditional leave to file written statement. Do you see that subclause 5? The defendant may be granted unconditional or upon terms the court may or a judge to be just. So the discretion of the court whether permission should be granted to the defendant to file written statement. Whether it should be unconditionally or conditionally. The court may say that the claim amount is 1 crore, you deposit 50 lakh. I will give you permission to defend the suit. Or deposit 1/3 amount. And whatever money is deposited by the defendant shall be invested by the court office. Then whichever party wins the case will be paid over. Okay, that is the procedure. The court may grant the leave, court may not grant it here. If the court is granting, there's a conditional order that leave to defend is granted on a condition that he deposit the money. Now, when the court finds that here, yes, there is some substance in the defendant defenses, it is not possible to grant a decree straight away. The court will say that here, I am granting leave, permission to the defendant to file the written statement and contest the suit. When this leave is granted, the suit ceases to be summary suit. It will become a normal general suit. That means the provisions of other CPC will be applicable. For example, the exchange of interrogatories and admission of document, injunction, receiver, all these provisions you can invoke. The trial procedure will be attracted. Otherwise, in a summary suit, if the court chooses to proceed on the ground that here is a summary suit established and the defendant has not shown any bona fide cause or for filing defenses, a decree is passed. Okay? Anybody has any doubt in this? Now the decree is appealable decree. Please note that you can file an appeal under section 96.
So 5 minutes are left.
5 minutes. Anybody has any question? In summary suits? Yeah. If that's clear, then we come to the other suits. Then you may come to the provisions of other suits also. Generally, quickly we can take here. For example, order 32 ले लीजिए आप. For example, order 30 से ले ले. 29 भी आएगा, 27. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm coming to that. Yes. Now I say, yeah. Come to order 27A. 27 we dealt with the suit. 27 we dealt with the suits against government and for government. Now 27A also deals with suits involving substantial question of law to the interpretation of the Constitution. Normally, for interpretation of the Constitution, you file writ petition or SLP. You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear? You can hear me now? Yes. Now, parties can also file a suit. In the suit, somebody challenging the validity. So the government of Maharashtra demanded from you pay more stamp duty on the document which you have not paid. You had filed a proceeding before the collector or before the stamp office. They are not agreeing your contention. So you are challenging the validity of the provisions of any stamp act, so and so act. And you cannot do without invoking the provisions of order 27A, in which even when any question of law involving the constitutional validity of the constitution involved, then such a suit, you have to join the Attorney General of India, and in the case of a state, the Advocate General. You know that here. Now, similar provision you will find in the Constitution, that is Article 132 of the Constitution, appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Isn't it? Under which certain powers are challenged. Isn't it? Then under Article 147 of the Constitution, a reference is made to the Supreme Court. Normally, the President of India, any party can make reference to the Constitution as regard the constitutional validity. Such suits can also be filed in the civil court. In that event, the procedure is that here, the Attorney General or Advocate General, the state of Maharashtra, Union of India are required to be joined. That procedure is contemplated. Okay. Then come to suits are, Then order 28 deals with suits are by against military officers, naval officers. So a special provision is enacted for these people here who cannot file the suit without the leave being obtained from the concerned officers. It may not be a very important chapter for the examination point of view, but you must go through it. What is the procedure adopted here? Appointing a pleader, their services when they can appear and when they cannot appear. Then 29 is important, suits by against corporation. Companies which are a legal entity, when can they be sued? You need not join the directors of company or servants of the company. You can join the company itself, or a company itself is filing, a principal officer secretary signs the pleading who mentioned that I am authorized to sign. A resolution is passed authorizing here 29. Service of the corporation is sufficient. Then also under section 20 of the CPC, we mentioned if the company is head office is in, say for example, in America, then their branch offices are in Bombay, Calcutta, Madras. McDonald, for example, you went and ate, you developed some problem eating. You want to file a suit against McDonald claiming damages for giving you food which has caused damage to you, upset your stomach, you were hospitalized. Then you can serve the summons not in America, and one of the branch office that you are under section 20, there's a in the CPC that you may kindly once again go through. Mansi, please open section 20. Yeah, under section 20, there is an explanation. See that a corporation shall be deemed to carry on business at the sole principal place in respect of the cause of action arising at a place where it has a subordinate office of that place. So you can sue the McDonald's